Have you ever felt like there were difficulties in your life weighing you down, and that burden made you dread waking up because you were just tired of dealing with it? We are constantly wishing for breaks, wishing for the things we don't have. But this particular view of life has caused us to wish our lives away. A burden I carry around is dyslexia. I was diagnosed in 2nd grade, and it's been a challenge ever since. For one, it's difficult to academically keep up with my peers. And I spent many hours hating that I was born with this learning disorder. My dad could tell that it was weighing on me more than usual, so he sat me down and explained that I shouldn't let my learning disorder define me. He went on to say that my condition may have some disadvantages, but it has positives too, like highly creative personality, problem-solving skills, and three-dimensional thinking, and so much more. This conversation made me reevaluate my situation, and I realized he was right. I was done viewing myself as incompetent for something I will never get rid of. I was done wasting my life wishing for a different one. But I knew I'd have to compensate for the disadvantages. So I put in twice the work to achieve my goals. I went to tutoring for years, I've worked hard in all my studies, and even though it's been an uphill climb, I haven't given up. I found peace in my daily obstacle, and now I see dyslexia as a part of who I am. And sometimes I forget I have it. So changing our perspective can work wonders in our lives. It changed my life, and now have faith that it'll do the same for you. Do you ever wonder why humans tend to be so negative? This negative bias we have is often more powerful than the positive bias. Physiologist John Cappuccio, who did a study on the brain's response to negative and positive images, claims negative images produced a much stronger response in the cerebral cortex than did positive or neutral images. According to Kendra Sherry, who wrote an article on negative bias, humans tend to be negative because in our early civilization, it was a matter of life or death. Nowadays, we aren't constantly being attacked by lions, tigers, and bears, yet we still hang on to the negatives. The bottom line is, we are genetically wired for fight or flight. So we have to intentionally reframe that narrative to be positive, to see the good in things, and to be optimistic. It's one thing to want to change your perspective, it's another to actually work on it. But how do we change our perspective? 3 things that help me are to discover the benefits, focus on the positives, and not let the idea of failure prevent me from growing. The goal is to seek out the positives in a negative situation, to make the burdens in our lives not seem so heavy. But before we can focus on a positive, we have to define it. We have to look for the opportunity in the obstacle and discover unexpected silver lining. We have to view our situations differently to see how it benefits us. There's always a takeaway from every mistake or tragedy. You just have to look for it. My learning disorder is an obstacle, a hindrance, a disadvantage. But I discovered it's a gift. And these positive traits benefit me when I'm doing things like creating art, solving equations, and even socializing. When I applied this mindset, I chose to see dyslexia as a positive aspect of my life. If we practice this skill every day, we will notice the positives more, and hopefully the negatives or burdens will have less of a negative effect on us. But it's important to remember, when you find a positive in a negative situation, it is vital to focus on it, and to learn the skill of concentrating on the positives, to remind ourselves to be grateful and that things are okay. We can start with small obstacles in our lives, and over time, as we see more positives, seek out bigger burdens. I want to leave you all with one last point. Something that gets in the way of changing our perspective towards a more positive outlook is our own fear of failure. Don't let the idea of failing consume you and prevent you from learning and growing. You could pass up on opportunities that could put a smile on your face or change your whole life because of the fear of failure. Because when we aren't afraid of defeat, we can live our lives to its fullest potential. So, Turn failure into growth. Turn burden into opportunity. Seek out the things that bring you joy, because the day you choose to change your perspective is the day you start living. Thank you.